On December 29, 1982, a 50-year-old man walked into Philadelphia International Airport and was never seen again. 4 days later, his mother received a call saying he had passed away in a plane incident near the Bahamas. The story sounded final until investigators checked the aircraft. It hadn't gone down. It had been sold, and it was still flying. The missing man was Mario Rossi, a NASCAR pioneer whose safety designs protect drivers today, yet whose disappearance exposed a hidden world far more dangerous than racing itself. The telephone rang through the Rossi family home in Trenton, New Jersey. On January 2nd, 1983, Mario's mother lifted the receiver. A woman's voice came through, calm but somber. "Mrs. Rossi? My name is Betty. I'm calling about Mario." The mother's breath caught. She'd been trying to reach her son for 2 days. "There's been an accident," Betty said. "Mario was flying his plane to the Bahamas. The weather turned bad. The plane went down. He didn't make it." Betty provided details. A small Cessna, mechanical failure, no survivors, no wreckage recovered. She even gave the aircraft's tail number, specific enough to seem official. Then came the strange part. Betty strongly discouraged the family from traveling to Florida. "Everything's being handled. There's nothing for you to do here." The mother, drowning in grief, didn't question it. She wrote down Betty's phone number, a Florida area code, not the Bahamas, and hung up to tell the family Mario was gone. But before understanding why that call was a lie, you need to know who Mario Rossi was. Born 1932 in Trenton, Mario could disassemble and reassemble complex engines by age 7. His father watched the boy's hands move through the guts of a farmall tractor with supernatural confidence, recognizing this wasn't mere aptitude but genius, an intuitive understanding of combustion and steel orchestrated into controlled power. By 1959, that genius carried him to Spartanburg, South Carolina, the heart of stock car racing. Working as crew chief and engine builder, Mario collaborated with legends, Fireball Roberts, Bobby Allison, Donnie Allison. 13 NASCAR Cup Series victories testified to his ability to extract impossible performance. His specialty was Dodge and Plymouth platforms during manufacturer wars when Chrysler, Ford, and GM waged technical combat every Sunday. The 1971 Daytona 500 cemented his legend. NASCAR President Bill France hated the winged warriors, aerodynamic Dodge Daytonas and Plymouth Superbirds dominating superspeedways. France implemented a kill rule. Teams running winged cars were restricted to 305 cubic inch engines versus the standard 426. Every owner abandoned the aero cars. Mario saw possibility. He partnered with Keith Black to build a 305 Hemi so small in the massive engine bay mechanics nicknamed it the lunchbox. Driver Dick Brooks took it to the front at 10,000 screaming RPM. Proof Mario's genius transcended brute displacement. A middle finger to France's rulebook, delivered in combustion. Yet his greatest legacy was safety, born from tragedy. 1965. Close friend Billy Wade passed away at Daytona during a tire test. The crash wasn't violent, but Wade passed away anyway. His lap belt rode up during impact, compressing intestines and liver, causing fatal internal bleeding. Mario watched them load his friend's body into the ambulance and made a decision that would alter motorsports forever. He stupid away Army rocket sled tests, examined crash data, developed revolutionary innovations. The driver headrest prevented whiplash and basilar skull fractures. The three-point restraint system added a floor-anchored belt preventing lap belt ride-up, the exact mechanism that killed Billy Wade. This anti-submarine belt distributed crash forces across stronger skeleton parts rather than vulnerable organs. Mario also pioneered gluing lug nuts to wheels, shaving precious seconds off pit stops. The innovation spread throughout motorsport, becoming so standard modern crews don't think about it, unaware they're following a practice invented by a man erased from history. A bust in his likeness was installed at Joe Weatherly's Stock Car Museum at Darlington. Racing publications celebrated him. Drivers whose lives he'd saved sent gratitude letters. For a time in the early 70s, Mario seemed destined for immortality among racing's pioneers. But cracks formed. 1975, fired from D-Guard team following engine failures and friction with Darrell Waltrip. The firing stung. Mario had given NASCAR everything. Genius, innovations, His friend's memory transformed into equipment saving strangers' lives, and NASCAR discarded him over politics. By 76, disillusioned and financially unstable, Mario relocated to Boca Raton, Florida. South Florida was experiencing a gold rush fueled by Colombian marijuana flowing north through the Caribbean. The infrastructure existed: thousands of miles of coastline, countless uninhabited islands, boating culture providing cover. Most importantly, a surplus of men with exactly the skills smuggling required. Men who understood high-performance marine engines, could modify speedboats to outrun Coast Guard cutters, knew how to maintain small aircraft and calculate fuel loads for island-hopping routes avoiding radar. Men like Mario Rossi, the same genius that made stock car engines produce impossible horsepower, could make cigarette boats reach speeds turning ocean water to horizontal rain. The same understanding of aerodynamics that created the lunchbox engine could optimize Cessna cargo capacity for maximum payload across maximum distance. Mario became associated with Gary "Hotshoe" Ballo, a former NASCAR driver turned trafficker, and Billy Harvey, a team owner whose racing operation fronted for moving product. By early 80s, Mario was deeply embedded in what would be revealed as a $300 million per year smuggling empire. His daughter Tina Grimes later confirmed she'd seen drug deals at Mario's Florida home, seen scales weighing product, understood her father was involved in something dangerous. For Tina, this created cognitive dissonance that never resolved. How could the man who invented life-saving equipment facilitate illegal drugs? How could genius and criminality coexist? But they did, because people are rarely one thing. By December 82, Mario was 50, disconnected from New Jersey family, living between two worlds: racing legacy, respectability, and criminal underworld. But 10 months earlier, something happened making that balance impossible. February 82. Federal authorities executed Black Thursday, arresting 66 individuals in coordinated sweeps dismantling the network. Among arrested, Gary Ballo and Billy Harvey, Mario's closest associates. Mario Rossi was not arrested. His absence raised two dangerous possibilities. Either he'd evaded capture and was now a fugitive, or he'd been cooperating with feds, providing intelligence making Black Thursday possible. In Mario's world, both scenarios carried the same penalty. Whether rat or ghost, he was a liability. And liabilities in a $300 million enterprise couldn't be tolerated. Despite everything, Mario returned to Trenton for Christmas 82. Family reported he seemed completely normal, relaxed, comfortable, showing no fear. December 29th morning, his sister drove him to Philadelphia Airport. He stated plans to return to Florida or the Bahamas rental. At the terminal, he waved goodbye, a casual gesture. She watched him disappear into the crowd, and Mario Rossi was never seen again. Black Thursday in February 1982 was the culmination of years investigating a sophisticated marijuana network moving product from Colombia through the Bahamas into South Florida, generating $300 million annually. The scope was staggering: racing engine boats outrunning Coast Guard cutters, aircraft island hopping below radar, distribution reaching Miami to Chicago. Agents arrested 66 people in coordinated raids. The operation required perfect timing and absolute secrecy. Among arrested, Gary Ballo and Billy Harvey, central figures using racing world connections for logistics. But the arrests raised immediate questions. How had feds known exactly when to strike? Who had talked? Mario's absence was conspicuous. Known to be deeply embedded, daughter witnessed deals at his home, his mechanical skills integral to maintaining high-performance boats and aircraft. His missing name suggested either evasion or cooperation. Both interpretations were dangerous. If fugitive, he was a liability who might deal to save himself. If informant, he was a traitor who'd already betrayed associates and might testify. Either way, he threatened anyone who'd escaped arrest. Black Thursday caught 66, but how many had it missed? The 10 months between February and Mario's December disappearance represented maximum danger. If cooperating, he was valuable to prosecutors. If planning to testify, he needed silencing before trial. If trying to disappear alone, he needed to do so before government or former associates found him. Yet Mario returned to Trenton for Christmas, appearing completely normal to family, relaxed, comfortable, showing no paranoia one might expect from a man caught between federal authorities and violent criminals. He ate holiday meals, exchanged gifts, engaged in Italian-American Christmas rituals. If running for his life, he showed no sign. If preparing to disappear forever, he gave no hint. December 29th morning, his sister drove him to Philadelphia International Airport. The Philadelphia choice over closer Newark raised later questions. Avoiding surveillance, meeting someone, or simply flight schedules? At approximately 9 a.m., Mario exited the car, retrieved luggage, walked toward the entrance. His sister watched him wave from terminal doors, a casual temporary goodbye. She assumed she'd hear from him in days, that he'd call from Florida or the Bahamas. She drove away, unaware she'd seen her brother for the last time. What happened after Mario entered Philadelphia Airport remains central to the mystery. Did he board a commercial flight? No ticket records exist, though 80s Airlines didn't maintain comprehensive digital records. Did he meet someone inside? Security footage was limited and long destroyed. Did he exit through a different door into a waiting car? Purely speculative. Last confirmed contact came December 30th. He allegedly spoke with business associates by phone. The conversation's nature was never detailed. Associates' identities never revealed. Were they network members checking his location? Federal handlers coordinating witness protection movements? Accomplices helping him disappear? The contact exists only as vague notation before silence. January 1st, New Year's Day, family attempted calling Mario at the Bahamas rental. Phone rang endlessly, no answer. They called repeatedly throughout the day. Concern grew but not yet panic. Mario was independent, sometimes unreachable. They decided to wait another day. January 2nd, late afternoon, the phone call came. Betty's calm voice delivering devastating news. Mario piloting a Cessna near the Bahamas. Plane crashed. No survivors. No wreckage. She provided the aircraft tail number, N followed by numbers and letters, the kind of specific detail that makes fabrication seem impossible. The plane had experienced mechanical failure or weather incident, Betty explained. Search and rescue had looked but found nothing. The ocean had swallowed the wreckage. Mario was gone. Mrs. Rossi, holding the phone with shaking hands, asked through tears about arrangements, about Mario's belongings in Florida, about what happened next. Betty's response was firm. The family should not travel to Florida. Mario's affairs were being handled. There was nothing to retrieve, nothing to settle. It was better if they stayed in New Jersey and let professionals manage everything. The mother, overwhelmed by grief, accepted this guidance. She wrote down Betty's phone number for future contact, thanked her for calling, and hung up. The family spent January 2nd and 3rd in shock, beginning to plan a memorial service without a body. Then on January 3rd, the phone rang again. This time a male voice, anonymous and menacing. The message was clear and direct. Do not go to the authorities. Do not investigate further. Do not ask questions. Accept the plane crash story. Stay in New Jersey. Forget about Mario's Florida life. The caller hung up abruptly. Terrified, the family tried calling Betty's number for explanation. The line was disconnected. After just 2 days of communication, Betty had vanished. No way to reach her. No way to verify the crash story. The family was left with devastating death news. A threat not to investigate, no body to bury, no official confirmation, and a phone number that no longer worked. Questions loomed, but fear kept them silent. For months, the Rossis existed in paralysis, told their son was dead but threatened not to involve authorities. No body, no wreckage, no death certificate. Betty's phone disconnected, anonymous mail's threat lingering. What should they do? Report a missing person when told he was dead? Report a death when threatened not to contact authorities? The contradiction made no sense, but fear overrode suspicion. Daughter Tina knew about drug involvement, had seen deals and scales at his Florida home. The crash story seemed plausible given the dangerous world Mario inhabited. Drug operations could easily make people disappear. Maybe the plane crash was real, and Betty and the anonymous caller were associates covering their own exposure. But months passed with no confirmation. No death certificate issued, no official report from Bahamas, no contact from authorities, no closure. Sister Bea, who dropped Mario at the airport, began questioning. He'd seemed normal, not suicidal or desperate. He'd waved goodbye casually, didn't seem like a man about to die. Betty's story had holes. Florida phone number not Bahamas, discouraged investigation, disconnected after 2 days, never mentioned before. The anonymous threat was stranger still. Why threaten family if just an accident? Bea decided to act. She filed a Freedom of Information Act request with U.S. Marshals Service, asking if Mario had been placed in witness protection. Theory: maybe Mario cooperated with feds after Black Thursday. Maybe government faked his death to relocate him. Would explain sudden disappearance, false crash story, family discouraged from investigating, no body or wreckage. The Marshals' response: neither confirm nor deny. Standard witness protection protocol: they never confirm or deny anyone's participation to protect program integrity. But this standard response gave Bea hope. If Mario definitely wasn't in the program, why not say so? The ambiguous answer suggested possibility. Family clung to this interpretation for years. Mario, alive somewhere under a new name, unreachable but safe. Better than believing murder. The informant theory gained traction through timeline analysis. February 82. Black Thursday netted 66 arrests. Mario, not among them despite being close associate of Ballo and Harvey. Why spare Mario? Possible explanations: already cooperating, wore wire, provided intelligence, or high level enough to evade initial sweep. But Mario wasn't peripheral. Tina confirmed deep involvement, so either evaded or cooperated. If cooperated, it explained Black Thursday's success. 66 simultaneous arrests required insider information, schedules, locations, operational details. Mario had access to everything. His mechanical expertise made him trusted insider. December 82, 10 months post-bust. If Mario was informant, why disappear then? Possible testimony approaching, danger increasing. Associates discovered cooperation. Government decided to relocate before trial. Informant theory explained Betty's call. Government agent posing as girlfriend, creating false death narrative for protection, discouraging investigation to maintain cover. Explained anonymous threat, different agent reinforcing message, ensuring family stayed quiet, protecting relocated witness. But problems existed. No record of Mario testifying in open court. Witness protection typically requires testimony. Family never heard from him again, not even after parents passed away. WITSEC usually allows some contact, especially for elderly parents' deaths. Why elaborate plane crash story if government protecting him? Simpler to say car accident or heart attack. Specific tail number created huge risk, as later proven. Tina Grimes came forward with first-hand testimony. She'd lived with Mario in Florida during early 80s, witnessed drug involvement, specific memories, deals conducted at the house, scales for weighing marijuana, associates at odd hours, talk of shipments in boats and planes, father working on marine engines for clients, high-performance modifications for speed, aircraft maintenance discussions. Mario wasn't peripheral. He was integral to logistics, marine engines for speedboat smuggling, aircraft for island hopping routes, Colombian marijuana from South America to Florida. Mario's genius applied to criminal enterprise. Tina's testimony confirmed. Mario deeply embedded, not innocent. Explained why he'd be target if informant. Explained why he'd be target if not informant. Knew too much. Made plane crash story initially plausible since drug world violence was common. But raised question. If this dangerous, why return to New Jersey for Christmas? For years, Rossi family lived in uncertainty. Some days believing Mario alive in witness protection. Other days believing he'd been murdered. Parents aged, desperate for closure. Siblings moved on but always wondered. Children grew up without grandfather. Mario's bust remained at Joe Weatherly Museum, but younger drivers never heard his name. NASCAR appeared deliberately erasing him from history. Suspected reason being distance sport from smuggling scandals. 70s-80s had multiple racing figures in smuggling. NASCAR wanted clean image. Easier to forget Mario than explain him. Bill Rossi, Mario's son, refused to let father be forgotten. He researched racing career, collected photos and documents, connected with old Spartanburg community, found men who'd worked with Mario, heard stories of innovations, learned about safety equipment, realized father saved countless lives, but also learned about final years, associates like Balaf, rumors of drugs, whispers about what happened. Bill built tribute race car honoring Mario's legacy, painted period correct, displaying innovations, took car to events, talked to anyone who'd listen, searched online racing forums posting questions. Did anyone know Mario Rossi? What happened December '82? Some responses from old-timers with memories of genius, but no one knew what happened. Or if they knew, wouldn't say. Bill's quest became decades-long mission, keeping father's memory alive, seeking truth. Gary Ballo, arrested in Black Thursday, served federal prison through the '80s, eventually released, returned to racing in diminished capacity. When asked about Mario, deflected, changed subject, became tense or angry. Decades passed, Ballo aged, but reaction to Mario's name remained volatile. Racing community noticed. Ballo would reminisce about old days but mention Mario, and conversation ended. Friends learned not to bring up the name. Some suspected Ballo involved in disappearance. Others thought he just knew too much. Either way, his silence was conspicuous. Betty's identity remained mysterious for years until modern investigators identified her. Betty Ferrier, sister-in-law of one of Mario's co-workers in the drug trade. Not Mario's girlfriend as claimed. Direct connection to smuggling ring. This identification proved death notification came from inside the operation. Was coordinated effort, not solo act. Suggested organization wanted Mario officially dead. Betty Ferrier passed away years later. Took knowledge to grave. Never interviewed about the call. Never explained participation or who instructed her. Her death closed one door but confirmed suspicion. Mario's disappearance was organized hit or organized relocation. Then came the Prudential investigation, likely mid to late '90s. Prudential Insurance had outstanding claim related to Mario's alleged death. Beneficiary had filed claim years earlier, sitting dormant, unpaid. Prudential decided to investigate before paying, standard procedure for old death claims without body. Investigator assigned to verify death occurred. First step. Contact FAA requesting records of plane crash near Bahamas, December '82 to January '83. Specific aircraft matching tail number Betty provided. FAA search result. No record of crash matching description. No crash report for that tail number, that location, that time frame. Investigator puzzled. Betty had specific tail number. Second step. Trace aircraft registration. FAA maintains database of all registered aircraft, each with unique tail number like VIN for cars, ownership transfers recorded. Search for Mario's alleged crash plane revealed shocking result. Aircraft located, intact. Plane never crashed, never salvaged, never rebuilt. Still flying, still registered. Chain of title investigation showed plane resold shortly after Mario's disappearance, then resold again, then again. At least 3 ownership transfers since alleged crash date. All transfers legal, documented, normal. Current owner had no idea plane supposedly crashed. Prudential investigators' conclusion. Death notification, complete fabrication. Betty's story lie from beginning. Plane crash never happened. Mario Rossi did not die in aviation accident. Insurance claim denied. Report sent to Rossi family triggered shock, confusion, then clarity. Everything made sense. Betty's reluctance for them to investigate. Phone disconnection. Anonymous threat. No official crash report. No body. Plane crash was ruse designed to stop investigation before exposing drug ring. But if Mario didn't die in crash, what happened to him? The revelation transformed Mario from dead man to missing person. But by the time truth emerged, 15+ years after disappearance, any trail had gone cold. The question shifted from, how did Mario die, to where is Mario Rossi? By late '90s, early 2000s, new NASCAR generation knew nothing of '60s, '70s pioneers, certainly nothing of Mario Rossi. They used 3-point belts Mario invented without knowing origin, benefited from headrests he pioneered with no knowledge, glued lug nuts standard in every pit stop without attribution. Bill Rossi attended races trying to talk with current drivers. Do you know who invented the safety belt you're wearing? Blank stares. Mario Rossi. My father. Never heard of him. Institutional amnesia was complete. NASCAR media guides. No mention. Racing history books. Some mentioned him. Most didn't. Hall of Fame considerations never came up. Blacklisted was the whispered term. Veteran journalists' news story. Understood NASCAR wanted distance from drug scandal era. Easier to erase Mario than explain him. Created hollow feeling for Bill. Father saved these drivers' lives. They raced safely because of him. They didn't know his name. Spartanburg old-timers still remembered, would share stories privately. Mario could make an engine sing. Mario could fix anything. But publicly, silence. NASCAR's official silence became complicity, erasing inconvenient genius from record books. The prudential findings raised new questions but provided no answers about Mario's actual fate. Was he killed before or after Betty's January 2nd call? If before, who impersonated him in December 30th contact? If after, why the elaborate plane story first? Where was his body? 42 years, no discovery. Ocean disposal? Buried? Destroyed? The vastness of possibilities paralyzed investigation. Racing community's collective amnesia extended beyond drivers to the sport's institutional memory. Museums displayed period cars with three-point belts and headrests, explanatory plaques describing safety evolution. But Mario Rossi's name absent from narratives, it was as if the innovations materialized from thin air, spontaneous generation of life-saving technology without human origin. The erasure was so complete that even automotive historians researching safety equipment struggled to find documentation of Mario's contributions. His patents lost in bureaucratic archives, his interviews from the 70s preserved only in yellowing racing magazines stored in private collections. Bill Rossi's tribute car became a rolling monument to forgotten genius. At car shows, he'd park it prominently, stand beside it with photo albums, showing his father with Fireball Roberts, with the Allison brothers, with the Lunchbox engine. Older fans would stop, eyes lighting with recognition. I remember that car. I remember Mario. They'd share stories. The time Mario rebuilt an engine overnight between practice and qualifying. The way he could diagnose a problem by sound alone. His absolute refusal to compromise on safety equipment even when team owners complained about weight penalties. These conversations sustained Bill. Proof his father had existed, had mattered, had changed racing forever even if the sport refused to remember. But younger fans walked past the tribute car, without stopping, drawn instead to modern machines with their computer-controlled fuel injection and carbon fiber bodies, unaware that the 5-point harness keeping drivers alive in 200-mile-per-hour crashes descended directly from the 3-point system Mario Rossi invented in Billy Wade's memory. Gary Ballow's continued volatility became its own form of evidence. Decades after Black Thursday, decades after Mario vanished, Ballow's reaction to the name remained explosive. At racing reunions, old-timers knew better than to mention Mario Rossi within Ballow's earshot. The one time someone did, a journalist researching 70s-era NASCAR for a documentary, Ballow's face had gone white, then red, then he'd stood up from the table and walked out without a word. Later, through intermediaries, he'd made it clear. He had nothing to say about Mario Rossi, would never have anything to say, and people should stop asking. This reaction, maintained across decades, suggested either profound guilt or profound fear. Had Ballo been involved in Mario's disappearance? Did he know who was? Or was his reaction simply the survivor's horror of being associated with what happened, of being asked questions that might revive dangerous suspicions? The consistency of his refusal to engage suggested the subject remained genuinely threatening to him, that even in his 70s, even after serving his time and ostensibly moving on, Mario Rossi's fate was something Ballo could not or would not discuss. Betty Ferrier's death eliminated one potential source of truth. Had she been coerced into making that call, threatened, paid, or had she participated willingly as part of the operation? Her role as sister-in-law to one of Mario's co-workers suggested inside access, but not necessarily agency. Perhaps she'd been handed a script and told to read it, threatened with exposure or harm if she refused. Perhaps she'd been told Mario really had passed away, and the call was just helping notify family. Perhaps she'd known exactly what was happening and participated anyway. Without her testimony, these questions became unanswerable. The plane's resale history, while definitively debunking the crash story, raised its own mysteries. Who had sold the plane initially? Records showed sale from estate of Mario Rossi, but no death certificate existed. How could an estate sell property without legal declaration of death? Someone with inside knowledge had managed the paperwork, created the legal fiction necessary to transfer ownership, benefited financially from the sale. Was this Mario himself, liquidating assets before disappearing? Or was it his killers, disposing of evidence and profiting simultaneously? The first buyer, purchasing in '83 or early '84, might have known something, but tracking that individual decades later proved impossible. The trail had gone cold long before anyone thought to follow it. In the 2020s, USA Today Network launched investigative podcast The Sneak, with Season 3 focused on Mario Rossi. Professional journalists with resources family never had began assembling pieces of a 40-year puzzle. They accessed databases, reviewed federal court records from Black Thursday, examined FAA documentation, tracked down associates, and most importantly, asked questions people had been afraid to ask for decades. Early episodes established Mario's racing legacy. Interviews with Spartanburg old-timers who remembered the engine wizard, archival footage of the Lunchbox Daytona screaming at 10,000 RPM, emotional testimony from Bill Rossi about father he barely knew. Middle episodes explored drug connection, Tina Grimes describing what she'd witnessed at the Florida house, context about South Florida's smuggling boom, details of Black Thursday operation that netted 66 arrests, but somehow missed Mario Rossi. Then came revelations that changed everything. Betty Ferrier's identity confirmation was first major breakthrough. Podcast investigators tracked her through smuggling ring connections, confirmed she was sister-in-law of Mario's co-worker, established she'd never been Mario's girlfriend as claimed. Betty had passed away years earlier, but her identification proved death notification was inside job. That smuggling organization orchestrated the call, that she'd been chosen because she was trusted insider, likely provided with script detailing what to say, including aircraft tail number. This confirmed the operation was sophisticated, coordinated, professional. Betty wasn't acting alone or improvising. Someone gave her information, instructed her to discourage family investigation, told her to disconnect phone after 2 days. The precision suggested organized criminal enterprise, accustomed to making problems disappear, experienced in creating false narratives authorities wouldn't immediately question. Second breakthrough came from locating plane's current owner. Podcast team traced aircraft through FAA records, followed chain of ownership from '83 to present, found each transfer documented and legal. Current owner agreed to interview, had purchased plane in '90s, knew nothing of Mario Rossi or alleged crash. When told the story, owner was shocked, confirmed plane was excellent condition, maintained regularly, flown frequently, showed no signs of ever being crashed or rebuilt. Owner provided maintenance logs going back to '90s, previous owner's contact information, transfer paperwork. Podcast interviewed previous owners too. None knew crash story, all confirmed plane operational when they owned it. Trail backward through ownership showed, current owner bought from owner 3 late '90s, owner 3 from owner 2 early '90s, owner 2 from owner 1 mid '80s. Owner 1 purchased '83 or early '84 shortly after Mario's disappearance. Critical question: who sold plane initially? Records showed sale from estate of Mario Rossi, but no death certificate on file. How did estate sell plane without death certificate? Another irregularity suggesting inside manipulation, someone with access to Mario's assets and ability to forge necessary paperwork. Was it Mario himself before disappearing? Was it associates after killing him? Was it government as part of witness protection? The documentation trail ended at that first sale, earliest buyer either deceased or untraceable. Third and most dramatic breakthrough: Gary Baloff interview. Podcast team spent months pursuing Baloff, who repeatedly refused. I have nothing to say about Mario Rossi. Team persisted, explained family's need for closure. Finally, Baloff agreed. Season finale episode built around this conversation. Baloff was elderly now, 70s or 80s, decades since Black Thursday in prison. But when Mario's name mentioned, visible tension emerged. Podcast described interview as explosive, Below's accounts inconsistent. He first said barely knew Mario, then admitted working closely. First said didn't know about disappearance, then revealed he'd heard rumors immediately. First suggested Mario probably in witness protection, then implied Mario got what he deserved. Contradicted himself repeatedly. When pressed on specifics, when did you last see Mario? Do you know who killed him? Do you know where he is? Below deflected. I don't remember. Who said he was killed? How would I know that? His tone shifted from somewhat cooperative to defensive to angry, then shut down completely. Eventually demanded recording stop, walked out. After interview ended, off record, Ballo allegedly made threatening comments, told podcast team to leave this alone, said some things should stay buried, suggested continuing investigation could be dangerous. Podcast team's assessment. Below definitely knows more than he said, either directly involved or has guilty knowledge, still afraid after 40 years. His inconsistencies suggested lying, but which parts? His reaction proved Mario's disappearance remains volatile subject. People involved still fear consequences. Even in 2020s, decades later, truth is dangerous. Podcast team evaluated evidence, presented 4 main theories. Theory 1. Executed as informant. Mario cooperated with FBI before or during Black Thursday. Associates discovered betrayal, lured him back after Christmas or grabbed him at airport, executed him. Betty call orchestrated for cover. Body disposed professionally in ocean or buried. Supporting evidence. Mario not arrested despite deep involvement. Black Thursday required inside information. Betty's call came from inside organization. Ballow's fear and guilt decades later. No body ever found. Theory 2. Witness protection. Government relocated Mario with new identity. Betty call was government agent creating false death. Anonymous threat was different agent reinforcing cover. Neither confirm nor deny actual confirmation. Mario alive somewhere under assumed name. Problems. No record of testimony. Never contacted family even at parents' deaths. Why elaborate plane story when simpler cover available? Plane sold from estate which government wouldn't do. Theory 3. Voluntary disappearance. Mario faked own death to escape both law and criminals. Used pilot skills to fly elsewhere. Started new life in Caribbean or South America. Coordinated with Betty as accomplice. Problems. Betty was associate's sister-in-law, not his accomplice. Anonymous threat doesn't fit. Why not disappear quietly instead of false death story? Requires Betty to risk herself for Mario, which seems unlikely. Theory 4. Retaliation killing. Unarrested associates from Black Thursday hunted Mario for revenge over $300 million operation destroyed. Killed, whether or not he was informant. Blamed, regardless. Problems. 10-month gap between February and December. Why wait so long? Why let him travel to New Jersey for Christmas? Podcast conclusion. Theory 1. Most supported by evidence, but definitive proof, impossible without body. Mario Rossi's fate remains officially unsolved. 42 years have passed since Mario Rossi walked into Philadelphia airport and vanished. His body has never been found. No confirmed sightings exist since December 29, 1982. The case officially remains open but cold. Mario would be 92 years old if alive. Statistically unlikely but not impossible. Witness protection would explain survival, but evidence points toward death. The family has no closure, cannot hold funeral without body, cannot obtain death certificate without proof, cannot settle estate without legal declaration. They remain frozen in limbo. Bill Rossi still searches, still posts on racing forums, still asks questions, still hopes someone will come forward. Tina Grimes has accepted her father is probably dead but wishes she knew for certain. Sister B passed away without knowing her brother's fate. Their parents passed away the same way. An entire generation passed waiting for answers that never came. Mario Rossi's contributions to racing safety changed motorsport forever. The 3-point restraint system preventing internal organ damage is used in every race car today, saving countless lives over 50-plus years. The driver headrest reducing whiplash and basilar skull fractures his standard equipment in all forms of motorsport. Glued lug nuts revolutionizing pit stop strategy became industry standard across all racing series. Yet Mario's name is absent from NASCAR Hall of Fame. Official history books, safety equipment attribution, racing media coverage, historical retrospectives. Current drivers use his inventions daily with no idea who created them. Bill Rossi's tribute car attempts to preserve legacy, taking it to vintage racing events, educating younger fans. He saved your favorite driver's life. You just don't know his name. Joe Weatherly Stock Car Museum at Darlington still displays Mario's bust, one of few physical acknowledgments, though visitors often skip past with just a glance at the small plaque, giving brief description with no mention of disappearance or drug involvement. Spartanburg old-timers still tell stories of the engine wizard, remember the lunchbox engine, remember Mario's genius, but they're dying off, taking memories with them. NASCAR's institutional silence protects the sport's image, distances from drug scandal era, but erases a brilliant engineer. The moral cost of that erasure weighs on those who remember. Drivers who owe lives to Mario race safely because of his inventions. Never thank him, never know to thank him. Unknowing beneficiaries of genius deliberately forgotten. The drug trade legacy lingers too. Black Thursday destroyed a $300 million operation, but did it end the trade? Many participants were never caught. Operations likely reconstituted with new leadership. South Florida smuggling continued through the 80s and 90s, eventually eclipsed by cocaine trade, marijuana becoming less profitable, but the networks and methods and corruption remained. Mario's case illustrates the violence. People disappeared, bodies never found, families never got answers, fear persisting decades later. Gary Balo's continued fear in the 2020s. Betty Ferrier's family refusing to talk. Anonymous threats echoing across years. Balo's warning that some things should stay buried. All suggest the drug world's long memory. Even 40 years later, people remain afraid. What does that say about these organizations' power? What does it say about the justice system's limitations? 66 were arrested, but how many escaped? How many are still alive? Still powerful? Does someone living today know exactly what happened? Will they take that knowledge to their grave? Bill Rossi's entire adult life has been defined by his father's absence. He built the tribute car as a way to process grief, used racing forums to seek information and honor memory. My dad invented the safety belt that saved Dale Earnhardt Jr. My dad is why your favorite driver survived that crash. He's trying to ensure his father isn't forgotten, even if he can't know what happened. Tina Grimes carries complex feelings, pride in racing achievements, shame about drug involvement, anger about abandonment if he's alive, grief about murder if he's dead. She testified publicly about what she witnessed, took courage to admit her father's criminality, but seeking truth mattered more than protecting image. The sister who waved goodbye at the airport carries that moment as permanent haunting. Last family moment, casual and routine, not knowing it was goodbye forever. She spent years wondering, did Mario know? Was he scared getting on that plane? Or was he confident, planning a new life? Or did something happen after she drove away? No closure, no peace, no resolution, just endless wondering. If Mario was an FBI informant, his case highlights extreme risks of cooperation. Government asks people to betray dangerous criminals, promises protection. But can they really protect against organizations with $300 million resources, connections to Colombian cartels, access to hitmen and corrupt officials, ability to track people anywhere? If Mario cooperated and passed away, government failed to protect him, and family was never told truth, left to wonder forever. If Mario cooperated and lived through witness protection, he abandoned family completely. Parents passed away without hearing from him. Children grew up without father. Either scenario is tragedy. The fundamental question remains unanswered. Where is Mario Rossi? Is he alive at 92 somewhere under a new name, requiring he never broke silence, never reached out even when parents passed away? Level of discipline or heartlessness hard to imagine. Or is he dead, body disposed in ocean waters, weighted down and never recovered? Or buried in remote location only killer knows? Or destroyed completely? 42 years means any buried remains would be skeletal. could be found by construction or hikers, but vast areas of Florida, Bahamas, Caribbean remain unsearched. Evidence suggests death. Betty's call from inside organization. Anonymous threat. Never contacting family despite opportunities. Ballow's guilty knowledge and fear. Professional disposal, explaining no body, but neither confirm nor deny, keeps hope alive. What if he is in witness protection? What if he's alive somewhere, safe? What if one day he could come home? Family remains stuck between scenarios. Hoping he's alive means he abandoned them. Accepting he's dead means no justice or burial. Neither option provides peace. Mario Rossi exists in two histories. Racing history should remember him as revolutionary engineer, safety pioneer, 13 NASCAR victories, three-point belt inventor, driver headrest creator, glued lug nuts innovator, man who saved countless lives, genius who changed sport forever. Actual history shows him erased from NASCAR records, name unknown to current generation, blacklisted for drug involvement, disappeared in mysterious circumstances, possibly informant or victim, possibly alive or probably dead, family tormented by uncertainty, legacy buried under scandal. The tragedy is, these shouldn't be separate. Mario was both brilliant engineer and flawed man. He made incredible contributions and terrible choices. He saved lives and destroyed his family. He deserves recognition and accountability. But NASCAR chose erasure over complexity, easier to forget than explain. So drivers race safely because of him and never know his name. His children live without answers, and he remains a ghost in the machine, present in every safety belt, absent from every record book. December 29, 1982, Philadelphia International Airport. Sister waved goodbye. Mario waved back, walked into terminal, never seen again. 42 years later, still missing, body never found, truth never revealed, justice never served. But legacy persists in ways NASCAR won't acknowledge. Every driver who survives a crash because of the three-point belt, every racer protected by headrest Mario designed, every pit crew using glued lug nuts Mario invented. They're alive because of genius who's been erased. Where is Mario Rossi? The question echoes across 4 decades, unanswered, maybe unanswerable, but asked nonetheless, because some absences are too profound to accept, some mysteries too painful to abandon, some legacies too important to forget, even when the world tries to erase them.